Alright, so now we are going over the tonnage in the canyon article. So let's sit down somewhere. Like here. Alright, so Chainsaw Wild, Tonnage in the Canyons. Written by Gary Dozel, who writes most of the articles, maybe? Or the American ones, I don't know. With UP's King Creek sub coming to Chainsaw World 2 soon, we will take a look at operations on the rugged and scenic Utah rail line. Heavy tonnage, tough grades, rugged canyons, and dry desert heat. Those are just a few of the challenges that railroaders face on the UP's famed King Creek sub. And soon you too will tackle challenging contemporary American freight railroading with the upcoming King Creek sub route for Chainsaw World 2. Skillfully and masterfully developed by Chainsaw World 2, developed for Chainsaw World 2 by Skyhook Games, this upcoming route recreates UP's King Creek sub, also known as the King Creek Ranch, which was constructed by UP predecessor Rio Grande D&RGW. Let's take a further look at the remarkable and stunningly scenic route, its operations, and its equipment. The route, widely renowned for its extraordinary Utah desert and canyon scenery, the King Creek sub extends from a connection with UP's Green River sub at Brundle, Utah, south to Potash, Utah, 35.8 route miles. As created for Chainsaw World 2, the route will include a 5-mile section of UP's Green River sub, east from Brundle to Thompson, Utah. From Thompson to Brundle, the King Creek route recreates UP's ex-Rio Grande main line, which is today home to both Tonnage and Amtrak's California Zephyr. This section of signaled mainline delivers the chance for 60-mile-per-hour running, and both Thompson and Brundle having siding facilities. Brundle is the site at which contaminated uranium mine tailings gathered on the branch line at Moab are deposited. And stretching the 35.8 miles from Brundle to Potash, the King Creek sub begins at an elevation of 4,908 feet at Brundle and descends to 3,952 feet at Potash. For much of the distance, the grade is pegged at 1.2%, but the line is roller coaster in nature, with the southbound descent toward Potash interrupted by 1.2% climbs near Hilltop and 7 Mile. 7 Mile is also home to a passing track and small rock loading facility. At Moab, immediately past the site of the tailings loading facility, the line enters a 7,059-foot-long tunnel known as the Bootlegger Tunnel, built on a 1.2% northbound grade. After passing through extraordinary Bootlegger Canyon, the line comes along the wide and historic Colorado River and then reaches Potash, site of the massive mine and processing facility, which opened in 1964. Operations: hauling potash from the mine at Potash and contained uranium mine tailings from Moab are the purposes of the contemporary King Creek sub, since both of these duties involve totting loads northbound, which is to say up a climb of nearly 1,000 feet in elevation. The route involves hard hauling and requires plenty of horsepower. The King Creek's traditional staple dating back to the early 1960s Potash is handled in potash turns, which originate on UP at Grand Junction, Colorado. Deliver empties to potash, which the facility then head north with heavy loads. In addition to the potash, which is handled in covered hoppers, these turns also frequently handled chemical-laden tank cars bound for the mine facility. Typical power on the potash turns is 2 or 3 unit sets of UP 6-axle diesels. After decades of being reliant on the movement of potash, beginning in 2008, Cane Creek Sub took on another heavy haul job. Moab has been the site of a uranium mill, which closed in 1984, leaving approximately 12 million tons of dirt tailings behind, which these tailings are only modestly radioactive. The risk of their erosion into the nearby Colorado River required eventually reclamation. Under the auspices of the United States Department of Energy, a burial site for the tailings was developed at Brendel, and trainloads of the contained soil began moving over the length of the Cane Creek Sub to Brendel. Enter the dirty dirt trains. The UP dirty dirt trains also operate as turns, in this case taking empties from Brendel to Moab, picking up loads, and returning to Brendel, where the tailings are then buried. Because there is no passing track for runaround movement at Moab, the dirty dirt trains typically operate with UP 6-axle diesels fore and aft, adding further operation variety and interest to the line. Equipment. The upcoming Cane Creek subroute will include a duo of appropriate UP 6-axle high horsepower diesels. The venerable EMD SD40-2 and potent GE AC4400 CW. The 3,000 horsepower EMD SD40-2 debuted in 1972, and in a production run through 1986, EMD produced nearly 4,000 SD40-2s, making the locomotive one of the most successful of all time. The SD40-2 was purchased by 24 North American railroads, and among the largest buyers was UP between 1972 and 1980. UP purchased nearly 600 SD40-2s. The railroad's fleet of the versatile diesel grew even larger via UP's mergers with Missouri Pacific, Chicago and Northwestern, and Katy, which together added nearly 500 more SD40-2s to UP's roster. Today, the UP continues to operate a large fleet of the now veteran diesels, which have been upgraded in a rebuilding program at UP's Jenks locomotive facility in North Little Rock, Arkansas. UP classifies its rebuilt diesels as the SD40N. Constructed by GE, the 4,400 AC traction-equipped AC4400 CW is a landmark railroad workhorse with more than 2,500 units produced between 1983 and 2004. By far the type's most active buyer. UP purchased more than 1,000 AC4400 CWs between 1994 and 2004, and as with the SD40-2, mergers brought more AC4400 CWs to the UP with Southern Pacific and Chicago Northwestern, contributing more than 300 additional units. UP has begun to rebuild and upgrade its massive fleet of AC-4400 CWs, which are expected to remain in frontline UP service for years to come. Along with the pairs of authentic UP locomotives, the Cane Creek sub route will include two types of covered hoppers, a cylindrical hopper and two weathered liveries, and a new UP rib-side covered hopper. The covered hoppers feature animated roof hatches and interiors for loading, and also included our tank car and weathered open-top hopper with and without graffiti. Get ready to go to work. Just as on the real-life Cane Creek sub, there will be a lot of demanding, challenging railroading work to perform on the upcoming Transmo 2 edition. The scenic route will feature interactive facilities at Potash, Moab, and Brendel, a selection of a dozen realistic road haul and switching scenarios, and a busy 24-hour timetable. Heavy tonnage, tough grades, rugged canyons, and desert heat, those are just a few challenges the railroaders face on the UP famed Cane Creek sub, and soon you too will tackle challenging contemporary American freight railroading with the upcoming Cane Creek sub route for Transmo 2. Nearing Moab, a trio of UP SD40-2s have the Potash turn in tow. You can't see the image right now, but I will have them at the end of the video. Cane Creek sub extends from a connection with UP's Green River sub at Brendel, Utah, South Potash, Utah, home to a massive potash mine and facility. On the upcoming Cane Creek sub route at Brendel, UPGE AC-4400s fore and aft are entering the branch line above, with the consist of a dirty dirt train bound for Moab, then past the line's approach signal below. But the signals on this route look really nice, to be honest. Again, you'll see images at the end of the video. Bound for Potash on the upcoming Cane Creek sub routes created by Skyhook Games, a trio of UP SD40s have the Potash turn in tow near 7 Mile above, then drive through the line's deep and long rock cut near Moab below. Moab, Utah has been the site of a uranium mill which closed in 1984, leaving approximately 12 million tons of dirt tailings behind. With 30 dirt trains, UP now transport these tailings to Brendel for burial at Moab. A UP AC-4400 CW 6788 and a sister are readying for northbound departure. Again, this train looks very nice. But this isn't weathered. Like, it's not dirty, like you saw in the other images in my last Cane Creek article. I'm wondering, do they have two liveries, like a dirty and clean one? Because that's really cool if they do. Having made it its way through the 7,059-foot bootlegger tunnel, UPSD 40-2 1609 and Kin are dropping down the line's 1.2% grade as the train enters Bootlegger Canyon en route to Potash, with a string of covered hoppers to be loaded at the Potash line above. A short time later, the train rolls high above the legendary Colorado River below. The upcoming Cane Creek sub for Transmo 2 recreates some of the most rugged, remote, and awe-inspiring rail scenes in all of America. The sprawling Potash mine and facility at Potash opened in 1964 was the region the Cane Creek branch was built by the D and RGW and has ever since been a steady provider of tonnage first for the Rio Grande, and now the UP. Even SD40-2s are dwarfed by the mine in towering cliffs at Potash above. Another day is dawning in the Utah desert as the Potash facility makes for its stunning sight below. The upcoming King Creek sub route will include a duo of UP 6-axle high-horsepower diesels, the vulnerable AMD SD40-2 above, and potent GE AC4400 CW below. Trains on the subdivision are required to haul heavy potash and dirt loads northbound up a rolling gradient of 1.2% with a total climb of nearly 1,000 feet in elevation, which requires lots of horsepower. A dirty dirt train prepares for loading at Moab. The scenic route will feature interactive facilities at Potash, Moab, and Brendel, a selection of a dozen realistic road haul and switching scenarios, and a busy 24-hour timetable. The upcoming King Creek sub-route for Transmo 2 will take you into the very heart of Utah's legendary desert and canyon country and scenic settings that are awesomely realistic, and it's coming soon. Make sure you're following at Transmo on Twitter and Facebook so you don't miss the next article. And yeah, so that's about it for this article. So yeah, thank you guys so much for 100 subscribers. But yeah, anyways, I will see you in the next one. Take care.